Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to anyone who is new here. So, we're at the middle of December. When we did the original reading for this month, and this was the general broad reading, we mentioned that if things continued to shift, I said we'd do a refresh of the energy at the mid month point. So, things did shift. So that's going to be this reading. And tomorrow, we'll do the December update for soulmates. So since I did a pick a pile for that reading at the beginning of the month, I think I'm leaning toward doing a pick a pile for that reading too. So here we go. As always, it's a general reading. It's for all signs, timeless. So even if I'm doing it here at the middle of December, it's you might find it at a different time, and there might still be some useful messages in there for you. So, of course, it's not going to resonate with everyone because it's a collective reading. But if it does resonate with you, I would ask you to just hit the subscribe button, hit like. Let me know what it is that you like so I can do more of it. And then if you subscribe, then we can stick together. So, what we'll do, we'll start out by getting the main idea. And so this is kind of an idea that the reading is wrapped around. Um, Remember, for the month of December, there was a sense that there was some changing and development that was coming your way. Ooh, all right. So now maybe we get to see how you're interacting with that. We've got the Page of Swords. Page of Swords in reverse. So this Page of Swords is has a lot going on. There's a lot on this person's mind. They are trying to engage with their environment. They have a lot of ideas they're trying to hold on to. There's a lot of communication, just kind of a lot going on, a lot of plates spinning. However, here in the reverse, what we see is a little bit of a sense of stagnation. And so we'll get a little bit closer on this and understand what's happening. But at this point, it's almost got this sense of being held in a stagnant place, which is consistent with a lot of what we've been seeing in the readings lately. So it's not necessarily stagnation sometimes. What we've been seeing is it just doesn't feel like the wind is at your back. It doesn't feel like the energy of the universe is pushing you forward. So that's kind of the sense here. We'll take a look a little bit closer when we go into clarify. So I'm reading for you with the Lightseers Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Tarot of Dragons in a moment. But first, we'll take a look at the energetic backdrop for the month. And the energetic backdrop is just kind of that overarching energy. It's the pool you're swimming in. So we have the Temperance card also in reverse. And so the Temperance card, and I'll turn this one upright for you as well. The Temperance card is about balance. It's balancing the light and the dark. You see the image of that. It's a hard won balance, though. It still is. Sometimes when I see the Temperance card, that's one of the things that comes through for me. And that is definitely one of the things that comes through when I see this one today. But when I see it in the reverse here, I guess what I'm seeing is that balance is not yet struck. So, not that you guys aren't working hard, maybe, at trying to strike your balance, but there's still some work to be done as you move through your process. And maybe, again, you don't feel like the wind is at your back. So, that's the energy, though. It's still working through it. There's a sense of imbalance, and there's also a sense of not feeling buoyed in that, not feeling like you're being blown along. So that's a little bit more challenging sometimes because all of the impetus has to come from you. I get the sense that you're still moving though. Let's see what sticks out the most about this time frame. We knew there was this sense of change during the course of the month or during this kind of time frame. It can spread a little bit out into the beginning of January. It's not like as soon as the calendar turns over, everything becomes invalid. I mean, all the energy is very fluid. So we've got the Page of Cups in reverse. That's the thing that sticks out the most in this time frame. So this is And it's not usually communication that I get from this. Usually communication's over with the Page of Swords, but with this one, I actually do get a sense of communication. It's an emotional communication that is either cut off or for some other reason kind of isn't taking place. So it could be someone that you're forgetting to call or who is forgetting to call you. And it could be something where it's something that's taking up a little bit of brain space though. There's something to it, and there is a bond there, like a familial bond, possibly a romantic bond, but it's a sense that there's somebody that you want to call, but you haven't had the opportunity, or you just kind of keep forgetting or putting it off. There's something that sticks out about that. So this may be something that's important to you. Let's look to see what other important energy is acting upon you at this time. So, this is going to be, it could be something that you consider to be a good thing, could be something that you consider to be a bad thing. It definitely, it's something that impacts the situation enough that it needs to be mentioned. So there's a sense of disappointment, a disappointment in something that hasn't turned out yet. So it's almost this feeling of depression that goes along with this sense of not having it's not a not motivated, it's not an unmotivated sort of experience, although it may also be unmotivated. The whole thing here, though, is that sometimes you feel like, the wind is at your back. Like I was saying before, the universe is pushing you in a direction. And then sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm looking for a little bit of guidance, but maybe it doesn't feel like it's coming, or it doesn't come quickly enough. And it's some of the almost a sense of disappointment that comes from that. And that's a tough energy, especially when you're still working so hard to balance something. It can definitely be part of what drives not making this communication or not receiving this communication. There's not that impetus coming from the universe. So let's see what's happening here in hidden energies. What can you not see from where you're standing? Oh, something's not working out. Somebody isn't here. There it is. Something's not working out. This is so the Three of Pentacles in the upright. There are these three people that are weaving this pattern. They're making something and they're working together. It takes all of them to do this. And it's an effort that kind of can't be done if any of them stops what they're doing. But here in the reverse, it's almost as if somebody has stopped what they're doing, or maybe it's just it's not coming out. It's not coming out the way that it's intended. So something's not cooperating or working. It might be the people involved, but it might be that the situation isn't working out and the people are fine. So I can't tell. I can't get the people don't stand out on the card for me. So that tells me it's not necessarily the people. It may just be the overall situation. There is something here where cooperation isn't possible, missed connections, something like that. Um, Let's see here what energy you have or what energy you're moving toward. So this is you're moving from a place where the overarching energy around you is kind of that of this balance that's still trying to be struck. So what is the energy that you're moving toward? And then maybe they can overlap. It's not like you leave one energy and move to another. Oh, it's the energy of strength. So this is good because when you have a challenging situation, you have, especially a challenging situation where the wind isn't at your back, where you haven't yet established balance, where maybe there are communications that need to take place but haven't, and there's a disappointment that kind of shrouds the entire thing. It's not surprising that there's something that wouldn't be working out. Although I feel like this something not working out is probably a little bit more cause for some of the rest of this imbalance. But the strength card here is telling me that there is hope. So basically, that is overcoming fears. The strength card is always opposing something that is based in fears. And so just knowing that that's going to win out, the strength is going to win out instead of the fear is a significant thing. Very good news, but I guess we'll have to clarify and understand what that means here in a bit. So we're going to do that now. We're going to clarify, like I said, with the Tarot of Dragons, and we're going to start with the Page of Swords in reverse. So just looking for a couple of cards to clarify there, and I'll hold them up so you can see the detail on them a little bit. This is a cool deck that has a lot of detail, but it's kind of small, so it helps when you can see it a little bit closer in the camera. All right, so we have the Page of Swords in reverse, and it's being clarified by the Knight of Cups in reverse and the Eight of Wands in the upright. Eight of Wands is it's energy, but in this case, it feels like pressure. So it's almost like the reason that this Page of Swords in the reverse matters so much, and this was the main idea of the reading. Remember, so the reason that this matters so much is because it's like you're between a rock and a hard place emotionally. And maybe even in some other ways, it could be you've got deadlines that are sort of looming, but there's this sense of being between some energy that's really kind of coming at you and this Page of Swords, which is things not really moving forward, this sense of lack of motivated energy around you. It's not necessarily, like I was saying before, your own lack of motivation, but what it may be causing is something that feels like it's difficult to collect your thoughts. It's difficult to pull everything together to figure out what to do next. And that's kind of what I'm seeing over here. This is an indecision sort of feeling. It's the Knight of Cups in reverse. So the Knight of Cups in the upright looks like this. It's there's a sense of motion when I look at this card. It's motion, and it is supportive, loving, emotional action. It is a very warm word from somebody who's not very warm, that sort of thing. But when it's in the reverse like this, it's not got the same ring to it. And so there's a lot of frustration and difficulty that I feel in this, but almost as if it's like a person is struggling to swim, but they would float if they would stop struggling. But with this energy and the pressure that happens between the two of those, it's almost as if they will have to continue struggling for a little while till they get tired, and then they'll end up figuring out the floating is possible. But up until then, you kind of, there's some struggling that has to occur. So, like I said, that's the main idea. So the reading is wrapped around that feeling, which is really continuing growth, but it's painfully slow, or it can feel painfully slow. It doesn't necessarily look painfully slow. And when you get to the end of it and you look to see what you learn, you realize, wait, this was all worth it and kind of had to happen this way. But it's not necessarily easy. You get to a position of strength, and this is something that's happening kind of now. It's between now and the end of this energy, which is around the end of the month, but could, like I was saying, kind of go into January a little bit. So let's take a look at this Temperance card. And the Temperance card was the energetic backdrop for the month. It's balance, but it's balance that's not really being struck. There is some balance happening here, though, or at least a realization about how to strike balance. There's been a situation in the past where there was not an equal, there was not an equal give and take of energy. Something didn't work out. It could be as simple as, so money could be energy. It could be, you performed a service, but you didn't get paid, or something like that. But there's a balance or a piece that's being struck here with regard to this. And this is exactly the sort of thing that's just picking away at you during this month, all of these little things. And that's why it's maybe a little bit difficult to remain focused, because there are all of these little things coming at you, hard to keep track of them. But you are finding that as you focus on individual situations, you're able to establish that balance. So just keep plugging at it, keep going, because that balance here is that's how you end up in a position of strength. Just keep making these good decisions that I see here. This is good decisions, but this is not facing something. So There is also something that is kind of, I'm not going to say looming over you, but it's in your energy that you are supposed to be, you can kind of feel like you're supposed to be dealing with it, but maybe it's a very difficult thing for you to face and focus on right now. So there's something there that once you start to dig into that, you're going to have this balanced, successful reaction or response as you go in to start fixing it. But first, you've got to get in and allow the problem to sort of define itself. It has to pour itself into your life so that you can fix it. But you now have the tools to do that. And this balance that you're trying to strike here, I was trying to figure out why, when I saw this temperance card, what I was describing sounded remarkably difficult to deal with, but what I was feeling just wasn't as severe. And as I look at each of these cards, I realize something very similar. So this piece here with the depression or the feeling of disappointment, that may be a little bit overwhelming. And this piece here in the now might be a little bit overwhelming as well, because this is something that's kind of happening to you a lot maybe lately. There's this kind of gap between expectations and the energy and resources you have to get everything done, but there's also something's blocked from a energetic emotional standpoint. But you're establishing balance so effectively here that it's almost difficult to feel too badly about this situation. Let's look at this Page of Cups in reverse. Let's see, just taking that top card. So we've got the Devil card. Something still has its hooks in you. I mean, we saw a sign of that here, but I think this might be a little bit more, this might be, if you take this up to the next level and say, well, what's the root? This might be a little bit closer to what's actually got its hooks in you. Could be, oop, dropped a couple cards. Okay, I dropped half the deck, but I was able to get them back relatively quickly. This Devil card, though, has to do with, that's something a little bit deeper. This is something that's maybe been coming up in the readings here lately a lot. And it's something that's a little bit deeper, but you are to a point where you're actually able to work on this, which ends up being an amazing thing because it's one of those issues that has been in your background for long enough, and it's one of those things that was just an untouchable issue, something you couldn't even begin to solve because you weren't even that far along, but now you are. So it's like uncovered something where it's now beginning to show how it impacts you and your ability to think about new things. And I think like I said, this Devil card seems very challenging. It's not the same as this Tower card. Maybe it's related, but it's smaller. The Devil card, though, is about something that is still controlling you and causing your behaviors and your situations to turn out a certain way. You've got the Sire of Cups and the Two of Wands here, and I want to show you how those fit in as well. This is, so you've got this, there's this feeling here that there's a situation you kind of can't get on top of. It's like not being able to quit smoking or not being able to stop with obsessive thinking. It's almost got a feel to it like an addiction, but not necessarily to a substance. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else that controls you and tells you really what to do. But I feel like it's more of the way you're thinking about things, and but there's something that's really controlling you and it's impacting you in a way that you can now see. You're seeing it because you're making these more valid, rational decisions about how to handle these individual situations that come up. Whenever you're able to break it down and really start chipping away at your like your to-do list, or maybe what you're doing at work or wherever it is that you're getting overwhelmed, you're doing a really good job of actually solving the issues. And that's significant, but it's also, man, I can just feel that there's something where you're able to tell now that this would all go better if you were able to get past this thing, whether it's, changing the way you're thinking, or maybe it is quitting smoking or something like that. But this tells me there's an emotional element to it, which of course there is, but what it comes down to is a desire to remain emotionally in control and to appear emotionally in control. And it's really not an or, it's an and. This is the feeling of wanting to be emotionally under control and also wanting it to look like you are. The Two of Wands also is this is a good sign though. So this is saying there's an ability for you to get close to other people's views. You're able to um, understand what other people are thinking. So when you've got these situations that come up that kind of create issues that you have to solve and you have to figure out how to get balanced with them, maybe the overall balance and the energy right now is not great, but individually, on an individual level, you're doing a great job. And it has to do with your ability to cross an emotional distance and meet people halfway. But now maybe you need to extend some of that diplomacy to yourself, and that kindness to yourself, because it's going to benefit you and your ability to really just to function in an emotionally sound way. So let's take a look at this Four of Cups. And oh, we've got a couple of them that came out here. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, as well as the Four of Pentacles in reverse. So there are a couple things going on here. And remember, this was another important energy that was acting upon you at this time. So there is an overwhelming sense of disappointment, or sort of almost a depression that's happening there. But with this Four of Pentacles, there's also a release that is happening as a result of this. So this ends up being, I'm not going to say it ends up being a good thing exactly. What I will say is it ends up not being a waste of time. There is something that happens during all of this thinking and all of this working through emotion, because this ends up being kind of it's not so much working through emotion as it is not wanting to experience the flow of certain emotions, but there's flow that has to happen anyway. It's maybe not a completely pleasant experience. We see it reflected up here where you're between the rock and the hard place, but you're finding that balance gradually, and you're going to turn this Temperance card upside down. Part of the fringe benefit of this situation is that you are also releasing some old concepts that have been holding you back and creating this disappointed reaction. There's this sense of self-worth also. So definitely some self-worth that you've been working on or has been building on you in general as you've been moving through just daily life. I can feel that your self-worth has been increasing. And so this is very promising as you work through this, as well as this experience of release. But I still get the feeling that doesn't feel like much for you right now. It doesn't feel like a lot of progress, but it's a necessary piece of the process that just has to happen in order for you to move forward. So let's take a look at the Three of Pentacles now. And this is the Three of Pentacles in reverse for what's hidden from you. What's hidden from you is something that's not working out. The cooperation isn't necessarily there, but it's not, as I was seeing, it's not necessarily the people that are creating the problem. It may be more the circumstances and the situation. So the first thing that comes out here is the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. And so the Eight of Pentacles in reverse is about it's about a sense of mastery, and sometimes it's self-mastery. A lot of times it's emotional self-mastery, but in this case, it's actually kind of got the feeling of know-how. So it's actual mastery of something else. We have the Universe card here and the Three of Cups. This Universe card is about this difficulty in this environment is going to breed a better connection to the universe. So it's another sort of bright spot to experiencing this, because we saw earlier that this release of some of these thought patterns and processes and maybe even values that don't work for you. It's a difficult thing. It's a tumultuous experience as well, but one that, it needs to happen in order to move through the process. There is a sense here though that this connection with the universe is going to be born of things not working out. It's almost a necessity, being the mother of invention sort of situation. So this Eight of Pentacles with the right application is going to turn itself upside down as well. So right now there's something that you don't know how to do. You're probably going to have to learn how to master it in order to fix this situation where the environment isn't working in your favor. So it's like there's something in your environment, whether it's work or personal or some combination thereof, could be personal with you, that impacts every element of your life, but something that isn't quite working out the way that it's supposed to be right now. It's environmental. It's not somebody not working well with you. That could also be happening, but that's not what this is about. And as a result of it, it's going to catch you flat-footed a little bit, and you're going to realize, my goodness, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't have the skill set put together right now that I can address this, but you're going to build it. There's also this connection with the universe that will be enhanced here. So by the time you solve this problem, this is going to be a really positive experience. It is going to allow you to enjoy or embrace happiness in a whole new way. It's going to give you a different type of perspective. It's almost got the Hanged Man vibe to it, except that it's as a result of an experience, not a result of reflection. And it still yields a different perspective, but it's like you won't be done yet just because because you've made some realizations. This is like the equivalent of the World card in the traditional tarot. It's the end of a cycle, but it's not the end of everything. So you will then emerge into a new cycle where you'll be able to use this. So that's really good. That gives us a feeling about how you emerge into a position of strength. So let's take a look at that. That's a single card. Yep, we have the Page of Swords in reverse. So there's a transformation that still wants to happen here, but hasn't yet been made. And remember, this is kind of near term. So that means there may still be some things that haven't been established or haven't come to pass. You'll be coming from a position of strength, though, so it's going to be way easier for you to evaluate this. I feel like by the end of December, you're going to be coming to a place where this Temperance card, starts to consider turning itself upright, because you've got so many things that you will have worked your way through. Sometimes the holiday season gets a little bit busy with this sort of thing as well, just the demands and your resources not necessarily lining up. And resources could be your motivation, your time, your desire to do something. I mean, it's a lot that goes into getting something done. And there's a lot of feeling of like that, like I was saying, that stagnation of not really feeling like you're getting a lot of push from the universe. So here, though, we've got the Strength card in reverse that is coming out to clarify the Strength card in the upright. This is a specter. This is like the always over your shoulder. You have to recognize that it could be any time. Here's the thing. Okay, this is I love this message. Actually, it kind of seems like it's very difficult when I first start, but it's not. So there is this feeling that there's always something around the bend that's going to allow your fears to increase over your strengths. Okay. And that's true. There are going to be some transformations that you've not yet made at the end of this cycle, at the end of this month. But you coming from a position of strength, and the fact that you've had, the experiences that have led up to this are not trivial. And so that is giving you the realization that you can bounce back in strength, can and will bounce back in strength. This making good decisions and starting to see the balance be restored, learning something that's going to help you master a situation or master something that helps you change a situation where something in the environment isn't working out especially well. You are going to be, your flame is going to be growing. And so we saw that during the month of December, like the big reading. We also saw that there was a potential sense of imposter syndrome. And we see that a little bit over here with the self worth. We know that it's been growing, but we also know that during the month of December is a time where we might see it growing, especially as it relates to this devil situation where you know there's something that you need to be working on. And there's also, there are things that need to be addressed. And as you work closer to addressing those, all of the balance starts to be restored and maintained. It'll just, the disappointment and depression starts to fall away. You're going to have solved a problem here that is developing. I don't think this is a big problem, but I think that the feeling that you're going to get from solving it might be a big feeling. Let's get you an oracle card. This is from the Sacred Destiny Oracle. And we've got two that came out. One is Healing Chaos, which we've seen recently, and the other one is Love. So it's a reminder that you're made of love and that that's the energy that you're created by, that everything is created by. But it's also a reminder that that's what you want to lead with. The fact that you are going through some of the things that you're going through here is the what amounts to this healing chaos. There's a lot of transformation that's coming your direction, and when you get to the end of the month of December, you're not going to have made all of those transformations yet necessarily, but there's no expectation that you will have. That would be too much to ask, and that would be too quickly for some people to be developing. Not to say that some people won't make huge strides during the month, just to say that, some people are going to travel a little bit more slowly, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not going to put an extended on this one, but it allows us to dip into the month of December a little bit and just kind of say, peeking back in, some of the messages are pretty consistent, but it's like you've gotten to the business end of what was happening for this month, and there are some really good opportunities. You bring some great skills in here as far as this is emotional skills. You have some that you're going to be learning, but it's like you're actually going to be learning them. And your decisions are really good. You get stuck in this interesting between a rock and a hard place sort of situation. Just remember, it all ends in a place of strength and can be fueled by an endless supply of love. Um, those are the messages that really want to come out for you for the rest of the month of December. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Thanks for being here with me for this. If it did resonate, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again in another reading.